What's going on, guys? Welcome to the newest edition of the MBL Network, building the franchise with the New England Patriots. This all-new full immersion series is going to cover everything Patriots throughout Madden 17. We're going to be covering preseason acquisitions and cuts, position battles, assigning the practice squad, game highlights from both the regular and the preseason, weekly training and game prep, scouting, upcoming matchups, and any struggles that we seem to face as we go along this process. As you can see, we're in preseason week number 1. The training complete. The reason for that, they already knocked it out whenever we first joined the league because we all have to join as computers and get invited in. We also have a trade pending with the Philadelphia Eagles. The trade is there because we got Eric Rowe from the Eagles right before the rosters updated for Madden, and for some reason they just gave us a player and didn't want to send the pick over. So we're going to go ahead and fix that situation, send that 4th round pick from 2018 over to the Philadelphia Eagles. Moving on over to check out the offensive depth chart, we already know that the center as well as both guards are going to need some work. They're all 3 younger guys who don't really know the offense yet. Unlike Solder and Ballmer, who have been there for a while, they know the system. We're going to have to figure out if we're going to keep them, if we're going to move on from them, or if we're just going to progress them. Just let them learn in the system, let them figure out how Tom Brady demands his huddle. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, we already know that we have a pretty stout defense. Our biggest issue is going to be a lot of these guys are on contract years. A lot of these guys are going to try to cost us a lot of money at the end of the season. So we're going to have to figure out what way we want to go with them. If we're going to go ahead and draft somebody, find somebody in free agency, and move on from them, or if we're going to try to keep all the talent we have. Moving over to the special team side, we already know we're going to have to look for somebody to return kicks and punts. There's no way Edelman or Amendola are going to be returning kicks in New England unless everyone else on the team is injured, because it is not worth the risk of injuring them long term just for 10, 15 yards. We're going to have to look in free agency and see if we can find somebody. Before we look for that returner, we're going to head over here. We're going to pick up Kyle Friend, an undrafted center out of Temple. It's his first year in the league. From what we've seen on tape, though, he looks like he's going to be able to take Andrew's starting position before the season starts. So that's definitely going to be a position battle we're going to watch throughout this preseason. Now it's time to find that kick returner to get Edelman and Amendola out of the danger. We're going to look for somebody who is fast, has good agility and acceleration, as well as can juke or spin, preferably both. We want somebody who's going to be able to make some moves back there, make a couple guys miss before he breaks away through the hole. We're going to bring in DeAndrew White out of Alabama, free agent. He's got decent speed for kick returner. He may not make it as a wide receiver, but he may make it on the Patriots just to return kicks, just to play on special teams. Looking at some of the position battles that we're going to be watching during the preseason, LeGarrette Blount and Dion Lewis. Those 2 guys are going to be fighting for the starting halfback role. LeGarrette Blount, he's definitely a power back, and Lewis, really shifty, good at catching out of the backfield. It's gonna be interesting to watch which one takes the edge during the preseason. We also have 5 other running backs who are all going to be fighting for a spot on the Patriots. Most likely, the majority of them are not going to make it. If they do, they're going to fall down to the practice squad. We don't run enough to need that many running backs. For the wide receivers, we have 4 different guys we're going to keep our eye out on during the preseason. We got Malcolm Mitchell, Devin Street, DeAndrew White, and Devin Lucien. All of those guys are recent acquisitions or recent draft picks, rookies, young guys in the league. They don't really know the Patriots offense yet, but we're hoping during the preseason they'll be able to show us what they got and make the team. Without having a chance yet to hit the practice field, White is looking like, just from front office information, he's looking like he's going to be the front runner for the kick return job. That's probably where he's going to earn his role on the Patriots, like I've mentioned before, but you never know. Street, Mitchell, or Lucien could all also return some kicks. We're going to see how they do as well on the practice field and see who makes the team based purely on their kick return skills. David Andrews and Kyle Friend is another huge matchup we're going to keep our eyes on. We need somebody on the interior of the line who's going to take command, and somebody needs to take the starting job at center. So we need somebody that's going to help out the other 2 young guys that are at the guard positions. Both of them are looking like they're staying, but they're going to need to improve. We're going to need that center to learn very quickly. At corner, we got Rowe, who just came in with the Philadelphia Eagles trade, Coleman, Cyrus Jones, and Jonathan Jones. All 4 of those guys are extremely young, but at the same time, so is Malcolm Butler and Logan Ryan. The entire cornerback crew is a young team, and if they can become an elite unit and work well together, in a couple years, they'll be an impenetrable secondary. Checking out the preseason schedule here, the biggest matchup, the toughest matchup is going to be the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are a team that's been a consistent contender in MBL, and it's definitely somebody we're going to have to keep our eye out on. Even though it's preseason, you don't want to get embarrassed out there on the field. As far as the regular season goes, we got 3 division opponents before the bye week and 3 division opponents after the bye week. It's split very evenly. Same thing with our bye week. It's right there in the middle. But we close the season out with a game against the Jets and a game against the Dolphins. It all could come down to that. If either one of those teams step up in the division and the Patriots struggle, it could all come down to those final 2 weeks. Alright, it's time to see what some of these kick returners can do. Today we're going to test out Sankey, Lucien, White, Street, and Jones. All 5 of those guys are going to be fighting for the starting kick and punt returner position. So we're just going to get some practice in. We're going to figure out what they can do here on the field before we take it into the preseason game against the Saints. Obviously, that wasn't all of the practice I'd done. I sat there and knocked out some practices for about an hour, just doing nothing but kick return to try to figure out who I wanted to put where. I just wasn't going to bore you guys with that long of a montage of kick returns with no touchdowns. It was very uneventful. From now, though, we're going to go with DeAndrew White and Bishop Sankey as the number 1 and number 2 kick and punt returners. That looks like it's what's going to be our best bet to test them out in the game and just see what we can do inside the actual game. For the halfback position battle, we're going to keep the positions exactly how they started out. LeGarrette Blount first and Dion Lewis second. We're going to try that out inside the game against the Saints here. All the other positions that we looked at earlier when we were looking at the position battles, those are all staying in the same order for now. We'll see how things go after this preseason game and see if any adjustments need to be made, if we need to look a little more at some more people in the next upcoming game. But for now, we're going to leave them the same, and we're going to get this game kicked off.
Anticipation is mounting for today's game, and we've got 2 quarterbacks looking to make an impact. It's Breeze's Saints going up against Brady's Patriots.
Complete domination in Foxborough as the Patriots get the win against the New Orleans Saints 34-7. The Saints just couldn't get anything rolling all game against our stout defense. Post-game stats following the big win. You got Jimmy Garoppolo and Tom Brady both with a perfect rating, no turnovers, 4 touchdowns between them. For halfbacks, Didn't get a lot of production out of either one of these guys. Dion Lewis picked up 32 yards and LeGarrette Blount only 16. It really wasn't that we weren't running. We were running a decent amount. It was the fact that that defensive line was just shutting us down all game. A big contributing factor to that run game not being there is the fact that that interior line still needs to work. It's still early in the preseason, still early in the league, so we got time to fix it. As far as receiving goes, we spread the ball around a pretty good amount here. We had 22 completions to 8 different receivers, 5 going to Street and 5 going to Slater, them two leading the team, with Slater really taking charge of the game. He had a 63-yard touchdown and 2 touchdowns on the day. He had an excellent game today. Even with the mediocre interior offensive line, we still didn't get sacked at all. That's great. Even with the backups, they didn't get to us at all. It's hard to tell if that's based on what we done as an offense or if the defensive line was just that bad. On the defensive side of the ball, we had Eric Rowe leading the team in tackles after the first game. We didn't get any sacks. We need to get a lot more pressure. There's no reason we come away from a full game without a single sack. We did have some interceptions though. We had free safety Brandon King grabbed 2 of them, and Deron Harmon, strong safety, he grabbed 1 as well. That's going to do it, guys. That's going to wrap up episode 1 of Building the Franchise with the New England Patriots. Be sure to tune in for the next episode where we take on the Bears once again in Foxborough. Also, check us out on 365.maddenbomberleague.com, on Twitter @BomberLeague, on YouTube, youtube.com/MaddenBomberLeague, and on Daddy Leagues at daddyleagues.com/MBL.